Hello, folks. Steve Semler here at FocalPoint Business Coaching, and welcome to the Circuit Breakers interview series. I'm your host, and today I'm joined by Nate Tower, who is president at Perrill, digital marketing agency. Nate, thank you so much for joining us. Would you like to kick us off with a brief background as to who you are and what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. First off, thanks for having me. Excited to be here. So as Steve mentioned, I'm Nate Tower. I am president at Perrill. Perrill is a full-service digital marketing agency in the Twin Cities. Our focus is on powering businesses to win online through custom web design, web development, and digital marketing solutions. We service a wide variety of businesses throughout Twin Cities and throughout the United States. And really what we are trying to do as an organization is to help businesses of all sizes, but in particular businesses that are $50 million and up in annual revenue, to help them optimize their online presence, to accelerate their growth, their leads, their revenue, all of those wonderful things. And we use everything digitally related to do it. So that's the really short version of who we are, and happy to keep the conversation going with any questions you have here.
Yeah, and I encourage folks to check out Perrill.com because it's impressive.
Thank
and
you.
the client is too. So folks I've worked with before as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, but Nate, you've had an impressive career progression at Perrill too, over the last 10, 15 years or so there. How did that all come about to get to president where you are now?
Yeah. So just a quick background before we even get to the Perrill journey. So I started my career as a high school English teacher. And I did that for 9 years. About halfway through my teaching career, I started to get really interested in analytics and SEO. And I sort of stumbled into it by accident. I didn't go out and say, hey, I want to start doing SEO. I didn't even know what SEO was. We're talking maybe around 2008, 2009. I started just taking a lot of freelance writing gigs. Mostly during the summer, but sometimes during the school year. And yeah, sometimes I would work on some freelance writing gigs while my students were taking tests and things like that, but no big deal. So I just got really interested as I was doing these various writing gigs. They would send me a list of keywords and they would start to talk about these things that I needed to incorporate in my writing. And then I started getting writing gigs where they were asking me to do keyword research. And so I started to learn what SEO was. I started to write pieces of content, and then I would see those pieces get published, and then I would Google these keywords, and all of a sudden the thing that I wrote would rank #1 on Google. And I just found that absolutely fascinating that I think people who don't do SEO and who aren't in that business don't really appreciate all that goes into getting something to rank, and they don't really even understand why things rank here. They just, oh, well, Google ranks whatever the best thing that I need to find is. And to see that I had power and influence over what was showing up when people searched was really fascinating to me. So I started to do a lot more. I created my own little website and got that to rank for a whole bunch of niche keywords in the creative writing space. And then I decided that I wanted to get out of the teaching profession and get into the digital marketing world. So my wife and I ended up moving. We were in St. Louis, Missouri. We moved up to the Minneapolis area. I took a job doing SEO sales and some light SEO work at another agency when we moved up here, and did that for about a year. And then I said, I'm not really a sales guy. I'm an execution guy. I need to get in there and actually do the SEO. So I found a job as an SEO specialist at a company that was called FirstScribe at the time. We rebranded as Perrill in 2019, and we've been Perrill since. Company's been around since 1998. Again, started as FirstScribe, which was an SEO play at the time as well. If you're interested in that story, hit me up and I'll give you more information about that. But when I started as an SEO specialist, it was pure technical SEO, on-page optimization, we weren't doing content writing as an agency. We weren't doing brand work as an agency. And shortly after I started, I started to do a lot of content writing for Perrill through blogging, through other avenues, and doing some link building and getting our rankings up. And then our president and CEO at the time, Jay Perrill, who unfortunately passed away in 2020, he came up to me one day and he said, "Hey, you're a pretty good writer. Do you want to shift and be more of a content strategist? Because the agency could really use that." And I think that's a really important part of my journey is it aligns with the evolution of the agency. Because the best agencies or the ones that have the best success are the ones that evolve over time. And you can look at any agency, the oldest agencies out there, they're not doing the same thing today that they were doing back in 1966 when they were, just doing print ads. They're doing so much more today. And with us starting as a digital agency that primarily just did HTML websites in 1998, we had to evolve. And part of that evolution was adding in content writing, adding social media management, adding email marketing, adding HubSpot implementation, adding all these things. And I think part of it always with career progression is you are in the right place at the right time. There's always a little bit of luck. There's being surrounded by good people who can mentor you and help you get there. But for me, a lot of it was, I just want to learn all these different technologies and all these different platforms. And so when HubSpot was brought up, we didn't have anyone who knew what HubSpot really was. And I said, I'll learn it. When we actually used to use Adobe Analytics and we switched to Google Analytics and Google Tag Manager. And I said, I'll learn it. And so I was that guy who just always said, I'll learn these different platforms. And so eventually I moved from SEO specialist to content strategist to brand strategist to marketing director, because I knew all the technologies we were doing and I was pushing us to evolve into all these different areas. And then about 7 months ago, I was moved into the president role after we had some leadership changes. So that's the story. That's how we got here. It's been an evolution of the company. It's been a personal evolution for me. And I feel like I've been very fortunate to get to this spot and have had certainly a lot of help along the way.
Absolutely. Yeah. And digital marketing requires, just as you're saying, a lot of technical know-how, a lot of specialties, a lot of applications and interests and being able to pull that together. But that's not really the whole picture. So how does Perrill fit into the tech industry, do you think?
Yeah,
How would you?
so we really have two sides to our business, and I hate saying that because we all work together. It's a unified operation, so it's not like the tech team over here is doing one thing and the marketing team is over here doing something completely separate. We are all working together, but we do have these two distinct disciplines where you have this real technical side to the business where we're developing highly custom websites in Magento, in Laravel apps, and all these technical applications where we'll get a client who will come to us and they need to grow their revenue and all of that, and they are interested in marketing. But the bigger issue that they're facing right now is they need to integrate their website with their ERP, and they need someone who has technological know-how to do those things, but they also want to do SEO. And so the ability to have all of that in-house for us so that we can build that highly complex website that's going to do everything they need it to do. It's going to integrate with their ERP. Our tech team can do those things, and we're constantly thrown new technologies where, client A over here, this is the system that they use, and then client B over here, they have a completely different ERP. We've never even heard of it, but thankfully everyone's got an API, so you can connect to everything. And our tech team is really good about being able to make those bridges and those integrations. But and on that digital marketing side of things, because again, ultimately everything we're doing is to help businesses win online. So, you can build a great website that has this ERP integration, but if no one's coming to the site to buy the thing you're selling, then it doesn't really matter if that integration even works or not. So by being able to include our SEO team, for example, in those conversations about that website, now not only is this website going to work with your ERP, but it's also going to show up when people are searching for these various products and categories on Google. And so when people actually buy your stuff now, because they can find you, then all your systems are going to work perfectly together. And so when we talk about that unified approach, our developers aren't out there just trying to make the most complex technology that's possible. They're trying to make a system that's going to work for the customer, no matter how much traffic that customer gets, so that they can continue to grow and be successful. So it's scalable operations, but also rapid growth.
And that end-to-end approach with both sides, all sides, really is kind of the Perrill advantage,
Yeah,
sounds like.
absolutely. We can, you could come to us today with absolutely nothing. You could say, I have this, well, not absolutely nothing. You'd probably at least need a product or a service offering, but you could have no logo, you could have no website, you could have, you know, just a framework of a business. And we could, and this isn't really our ideal client. Our ideal client usually has more of a presence. But we could take you from just a product to a full brand online by building out your visual brand, creating your logo, building your website, integrating it with your systems. We can even help you select your systems too. You could come to us and say, I don't even know what ERP stands for. Can you please tell me which ERP to use? And we can do that for you. We can make the recommendation because we've worked with so many, we've worked with so many different clients. And I think that's one of the things that's really valuable with us is that we're not just a managed services provider. We're not just a company that can do your SEO. We can do all the consulting on your business too. So we can tell you, give you, I shouldn't say tell you, but give you recommendations for which systems to use. We can help you architect those systems. We can build everything so that it works together. But we can map it all out for you. So we're not just the doers, we're also the thinkers and the strategists, so that you could really come to us with nothing and we could walk away with a great finished product. Or we can just give you the blueprint and you can go do it somewhere else.
Yeah, because you've got that breadth of expertise and depth of
Yes,
expertise in house.
yes, we do. Which is it's
Nice.
a wonderful thing to have because we don't have to, and obviously we can't do everything. There's always limitations. There's if someone came to us and said, "Can you build a custom CRM for our $5 billion oil company?" I'd say, "No, I can't, but I know someone who can, and I can refer that out." But when someone comes to us for a website type project, we can do every aspect of it. We don't have to send any of it out to anyone else. We can do it all. And that will help you make sure you stay on time and on budget, and that once it launches, it's going to work with your marketing efforts too.
Yeah. Um, so in the constantly evolving business landscape, as technology changes and as brand and customer expectations change and things like that, how do you stay adaptable and open to change? What do you do to break out of the circuit of the routine, so to speak, and stay focused on innovation?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's a challenging one because there is so much that happens in the digital space all the time. There's new platforms, there's new tools, there's new ways to code. You could just go crazy with, okay, new thing, and chase everything around. So you have to be very strategic about it. And we would never want to get to the point where we're relatively platform agnostic in that we can build in a variety of platforms, but we don't want to say that we can do everything. Um, because then we either spread ourselves so thin that we're not really great at anything, or we just don't have the resources to do it all at that point. So we have to be very, I'll say, strategic about what technologies we're going to adapt or to adopt as the landscape changes. And so part of it is testing. As new technologies come out, we think about which ones we want to test, typically by, is there demand for it? Can this improve the lives of our clients or improve the lives of our people? And then we start a testing phase. We don't just jump in and say, okay, now we are I'll use Shopify as an example. Because when we build e-commerce websites, we're typically building them as WordPress with WooCommerce layered on, or as a Magento website. And then you have, within the last 5 years, you've had Shopify really explode, especially in the last 4. We look at that and we say, okay, should Shopify be part of our toolkit? Should we suddenly say, okay, we're a Shopify developer? And we have the capability to do that. We can build you a wonderful Shopify website, but we have to look at, well, is that the type of platform that our target client uses? Can we be profitable with that platform? Because when your development team is built on something like creating Magento websites, these are pretty high caliber developers now. And the skill set to do a Shopify website versus a Magento website, well, it doesn't take as much horsepower to do a Shopify website. And so am I going to pay Magento developers to build Shopify websites? That might not be very profitable for us, because we're not going to be able to sell Shopify sites at the same price point. So it really, there's all this balancing act between, okay, there's a new technology, and I use Shopify just because it's a really easy example. There's obviously so many other technologies out there, but we have to evaluate, is it right for our customers? Is it right for our people to implement? And you have to make that decision with every technology that comes out. And you have to also constantly look at the landscape of the current technologies you're using. Again, you stick with the Magento Shopify example. As the market share continues to increase for Shopify, if it's decreasing for Magento, which fortunately it's not, it's been flat for Magento, we can say we would have to make a decision. If Shopify is, everyone's using Shopify now and Magento's a dinosaur and no one's using it, then we would have to make that decision to switch technologies, or we would become a dinosaur too. So there's a lot to weigh here. It is, from my perspective, it's strategic business decisions. It's not just jumping in and saying, ooh, shiny new technology, let's do it. And I think we're seeing a lot of that now with AI, especially. Because there's so many different tools related to AI. There's so many different use cases for AI, and we are exploring AI at a very rapid pace right now. But it's also at a very strategic pace where we're not saying, hey, let's cut a bunch of people and just start using AI, or let's just start building AI stuff for customers instead of the things that we're doing today. Because one of the things that we found, and there is demand for it, but customer comes to you and says, I want you to build me an AI tool. Okay, well, what do you want that tool to do? I don't know. My boss just said I need an AI tool. Okay, well, before we throw in a technology, let's figure out the actual business problem that we're trying to solve, and then see if we need a new technology to do it, or if we can do that with some type of existing platform. So there's a lot to juggle here. It'd be a lot easier if new technology came out and just killed off old technology, and you just kept going because that's the way the world worked. But there's a lot of decisions that have to be made, and it's not an easy process. It takes time, it takes thought, and again, has to be done strategically. Otherwise, you're just going to go around chasing shiny objects.
Yeah. And it sounds like you're paying attention to the business aspects of it.
Oh yeah.
It's what is this going to do for us? What's this going to do for our customers? What's this going to be for us in terms of even considering the like you said, the developer
Yeah.
cost versus what we can get for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's another, a lot of our AI exploration has been, we employ really good, smart people. And to do that, you have to pay them good salaries. And you think about all the little things that people do on a daily basis that's really beneath their pay grade. And then something like AI comes along, and the first use case that we go down is, what are the low skill tasks that we can get rid of from our high salaried employees so that they can focus on highly skilled tasks, which is what they prefer anyway. They don't
Yeah.
want to sit there and write meta descriptions or do alt tags for images or do content population. It's all necessary stuff, but it's also just this, repeatable, simple task, and it's boring. So if there's a tool that can suddenly do that for you, those are the no-brainer type of business decisions where, did you just say that this $400 a month tool can save you 10 hours of work a month? Yeah. Where do I buy that?
Yeah.
Because I'm buying that right now.
Yeah. Absolutely. So what's coming up next for you in Peril over the next year that you'd be willing to share?
Yeah, so so we want to continue to grow as an agency. We're really focused on expanding the consulting side that I was talking about before, more of that strategy development. We have a ton of we have a lot of really good clients who rely on us for that managed services side, where we're doing their SEO and we're doing their website support. And we've done a lot of the consulting strategy side. We anticipate that's going to grow really rapidly here because, one, people are asking for it more, and I think they're asking for it more because as the AI tools improve, people are starting to see, okay, I can do a lot of the work. I just don't know what needs to be done. So I need someone to come in and build the strategy for me and provide the consulting and tell me what tools to use. And we can come in and we can architect all that for you. And so I really see that side of the business growing. And I also see us, I see us looking more at industry specialization. Because right now, as an agency, we can do anything for anyone, but we also know what we like doing and what we're really successful at. And so, just saying no to more things is one of the things that we're working on right now, and has been really ingrained in the last 6 months. Where if we know we can't be successful, we're going to say, we don't say no to it. We say, this is who you should work with instead. And that's been another part of the past 6 months and the next year for sure, is we're working on developing really strong partnerships, partnerships with other agencies, partnerships with tech providers, partnerships with fractional leaders. We've had a lot of great conversations. We've established some of those partnerships already, but we want to always be in the position where no matter what a client asks us, the answer is never, nope, we don't do that. It's, we aren't the right fit for you, but I know someone who is. And so we can always make those recommendations, whether you're a client or not. If you just call today and you're not an existing client, I want to be able to tell you where to go, because we want to be able to provide value for as many people as we can in whatever capacity that we can. So the next year for us is growing on the strategy side, developing those strong partnerships, and also just building our brand. We have moved, we've historically, I think like a lot of agencies, we've focused on our clients and we haven't focused on ourselves. And
Hmm.
it's the old story of, who makes the cobbler's shoes types of things. Who does Perrill's marketing? Well, we have a team now that does it, and we're really ramping that up. So we're starting to do videos for ourselves, newsletters for ourselves, LinkedIn, really strong LinkedIn engagement for ourselves, speaking at events, all of the things that we preach to our clients and we haven't really done for ourselves. So that's another thing that we have made a very big effort to do over the past few months, and much bigger plans in the coming years. And obviously that's going to help grow the business, but it's also I think important is it's going to help grow our team members as professionals, and they're going to get to start or continue to work on more exciting projects, and again, less of the unexciting work that sometimes they've done in the past. Not that the
Yeah.
client work was unexciting, but those individual components that we talked about before.
Yeah. Really tapping into the expertise and the skills as well as the desires and aspirations of
Yeah.
your team.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
ultimately, I see us within the next year where we do all the really strategic, highly creative work, and our tools are doing the other stuff. We don't need to go in and write meta descriptions for you, or even low quality image generation. The things that don't require much skill, we've got tools to do it. We're here to provide the strategic guidance for you. We're here to provide that highly creative content that you can't get from a machine.
And that's the appropriate place of use of AI,
Yes,
what doing using AI for what it can do, and doing our expertise, our core for the things that we do best.
yes, absolutely. Yeah, maybe someday AI will take over and do everything for us, but for the foreseeable future, it's only as good as the human running it. And we've got really, really good humans here who can do a lot of things that AI can't.
Speaking of the great humans, based upon your experience, what advice would you give to aspiring entrepreneurs who are getting into the tech sector, or in the tech sector, just starting out, facing challenges in their business?
Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of different advice that I've received over the years that I'd love to share, but I'll try to keep it relatively brief here. One, I think the most important thing is building your network. Um, I mean, it sounds so simple, but it's also one of those things that I think people hear, build my network. I don't really know how to do that or what the value is to me. But especially if you're just trying to start a company, you probably have a framework for what that company is, or you have a product that you're starting to build out. You need to run that by other people. Let's just take an example. I'll make up an example. If you're building a tool that's going to help agencies be more efficient, the best way to build that tool is to meet a whole bunch of agency people and ask them what they need in the tool. And then once you've started building the tool, meet a whole bunch of new agency people and show them the tool and ask them if it's something that they would use. And so just constantly building that network and providing value where you can. As you're networking, you're not selling, at least not directly. You're not in that moment, you're not selling. You're building relationship and providing value to others. And I think the entrepreneurs who are really successful are the ones who are really good at doing that. The other thing is surround yourself by good people. Um, don't make the mistake of thinking that you can or you should do everything yourself. I'm a really big believer in who, not how. Go out and find the right who to get it done. Don't try to do everything yourself, because you can't. You will fail. You're not good at everything. No one is. but there is someone out there who's good at it. Find that person and have them help you. So if I could only, I know they're fairly generic pieces of advice, but grow your network and focus on the who. That's what I would say.
Yeah, it's one of the things with the coaching clients I work with is they tend to end up wearing too many hats.
Yes.
And then they realize they're wearing too many hats. And then the next challenge is, okay, how are you going to get that out? Who is going to be able to help you with that?
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
so
and for me, moving into this role, so as the director of marketing, I felt like I did a million things. And as I moved into this role, I had to figure out, well, who's going to do the million things that I used to do? Because in my role, I really can only focus on three things. I could focus on profitability, revenue growth, and culture. And if it's not related to one of those three things, I absolutely should not do it. So when a client who used to reach out to me all the time to work with their HubSpot reaches out to me, I should not do the thing they're asking me to do in HubSpot because that's not going to help any of those three things that I just talked about. What's going to help is if I go to someone on our team who's learning and growing in HubSpot and I say, hey, can you help me do this? And maybe I have to do a little training to them, but once they know how to do that thing, then next time it's just boom, client wants this, go do it. And now that person has grown and I've stayed in my lane and not put the extra hat on. So yes, absolutely. Too many hats. You got to make sure you're wearing the right hats and focusing on the right things.
yeah, and what you just described is the essence of effective delegation.
Yes,
Just
and
awesome.
it's hard at first because you get in all these situations where you say, "Oh, this request that this client just gave me, I could do it in 5 minutes. If I explain it to someone, it's going to take me 20 minutes. So I'll just go do it." And then you do it again, and then you do it again, and then you do it again. If you had just spent the 20 minutes to explain it to that person, you would never have to do it again, and you'd save yourself so much more time in the long run. So it is a hard thing to do at first, but it's so important because it will allow you to focus and it will also help other people grow. Which if you're the leader of your company, uh, you should want your team to grow because if everyone on your team is growing, then you're probably going to grow as a business as well.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. Awesome. Thank you so much for your time today, Nate. This
Yeah.
has been fun to listen to it. I'm appreciating the tips and the advice and the stories, the experiences you've had along the way there.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much again for having me. Love the conversation. Great questions. I'm very happy that you invited me to be a part of this.
Yep. And very appreciative of your time too. And to
Yeah.
those who are watching here on the podcast, when you're faced with challenges in your business, consider these tips that Nate shared with us, and feel free to reach out to me for coaching and training support. As always, I'm Steve Semler at FocalPoint Business Coaching, helping techies be great leaders. Look forward to seeing you in our next episode. Thanks.